What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today it's time for a warning, which I'm probably going to give you every time a new One Piece set comes out. And I'll do you a deal, right? You guys stop buying and selling cards on release, and I will stop telling you to stop buying and selling cards on release. Because what's gone and happened was that we've now had the pre-releases for Paramount War. And let's be clear, we've had the pre-releases for Paramount War. Paramount War is not out until the end of the week. Alright? But we've had the pre-releases, which means people have opened cards. Which means people are selling cards, and I cannot say this clear enough, ladies and gentlemen. Stop buying singles of Paramount War. Seriously. Stop it. It's a terrible, terrible time. Now, look, my advice for One Piece is very different to my advice for something like, let's say for argument's sake, the Pokemon trading card game. Because one of the things we can say about the Pokemon trading card game is stock is going to be fine. Now, that wasn't always the case. If you go back a couple of years when the pandemic really hit and everyone went a bit silly, yes, I will admit that there was stock problems. And it did get a little bit awkward. All right? I get that. However, Pokemon got fixed. And I have told you many, many times, in many, many different ways, I am 100% convinced that One Piece will get fixed, i.e. stock will be fine. But right now, that's not where we are with One Piece. The set comes out, the set sells out, and then it's hard to get hold of. I understand all of this, none of this is lost on me, and yet it is still a terrible time to go buying One Piece TCG singles from Paramount War. Now, there are obviously exceptions. Exceptions might include I'm playing in a tournament where they're legal and I need the cards faster. I want to be the first one to grade these cards. I've got the money and I know I'm paying a bit over the odds and I don't care. All of these are good reasons to buy singles now. And this video, it's advice, it's friendly advice from your old pal Wassy, okay? This is not me telling you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. That would be weird. However, I am saying that right now, these singles are about as bad as they're going to be for a while, and buying them is a terrible, terrible idea. Don't believe me? I can pretty much prove it to you. So, the number one card at the moment, which is not terribly surprising, is the alternate art of the Edward Newgate leader. Now, according to TCG Player right now, I mean, it's a little bit awkward. It's got a market price of $205, but it doesn't really have a market price of $205, because you'll notice that the last three solds are all like $240, $245. So the market price is skyrocketing, and essentially it hasn't caught up. And you've got to be careful with TCG Player. This is one of the times you can't really necessarily believe them. When cards are new, or they're spiking, or they're incredibly hyped, etc., you do have to remember that it takes the market price that is stated a little bit of a while to catch up. So it's not really a $205 card. It is in reality at the moment about a $245 card. Okay. Here's the thing though. We know that Romance Dawn is like out of stock everywhere. We know that Romance Dawn is borderline impossible to get hold of. And we do know that reprints are coming, incidentally. Some have kind of trickled in, more are coming. We know there's going to be more. But it's not like there's going to be a giant release in a week's time. And we know that there is going to be a giant release of Paramount War in a week's time. We'll talk about this more in a second. And if we go and have a look on TCG Player at Romance Dawn, again, by the way, when I said about Edward Newgate being the top card, I'm obviously leaving out the manga rare. The manga rares, it's not what we're talking about today, all right? We're leaving that one out for the second. We're talking about the non-ridiculous cards. And if we leave out the manga rares, over on TCG Player, we've got Nami, which is like a $220 card, and the Roanoa Zoro Leader, which is about a $210 card. Well, hang on a second. If we've got a set which has been out for a while, and the price has settled down, but it's out of stock, so it's settled down higher than we would usually see, and none of the cards have gotten above 220, why am I paying 240 for a leader right now? That doesn't make any sense. And the answer is very, very clear. It's overhyped. Now, I'm not saying that the Edward Newgate leader is going to become cheap. Certainly in the OPO2 meta, the Edward Newgate leader is good. And in the OPO3 meta, that's what Japan are playing with at the moment, it is inarguably the best deck. I follow the results very closely. I've been checking this one as we come. Make no mistake about it, there are other viable decks. But right now, Edward Newgate is owning over in Japan. It is the best deck by a mile. So what that means is that the alternate art of the best leader in the game is going to be hyped. Probably go 6 months, a year, some odd down the line, and this leader will be a lot less good. The price will crash. Right now, obviously, the best leader in the game is going to be the most expensive card. That makes perfect sense to me. However, this does bear pointing out, this has just had the pre-release, the main set isn't out. And that's one of the big points here, right? What's going to happen in a few days' time is everyone's going to go and pick up their boxes of Paramount War. On this channel on Friday, you are going to see an opening of Paramount War because my local game store have got a box for me. And a lot of you are going to be in the same position. A lot of you are going to be waiting for your boxes to turn up. And a lot of you are going to be trying to sell your singles. Oh, look. Look how that worked out. And that's kind of my point here, because when we see the market get flooded with singles, prices are going to come down. Now, everybody knows that Paramount War is quite scarce at the moment, all right? So everybody knows that the price is not going to come down that sharply or that quickly, not compared to something like a Pokemon set, for argument's sake, where we know that stock is going to be nice and easy from release date. That is not where we are right now. However, we do know that that is going to come down a bit. It always does. It's far too high. There is no reason Edward Newgate should be above every other card in Romance Dawn. Not like that. What else is looking good? The alternate art of Sanji. Now, again, looking at the actual stated market price is pointless because of the things I said earlier. But if we have a look at the last solds, they're all around... Well, actually, okay. There's one for 120. Somebody got an absolute bargain. But the last two solds were like 220. The market price is up at 185, but it's clearly climbing. Call it about a $220 card. Now, this one seems too high for me. I'll be honest with you. This one seems too high for me. Because you see, I can look at Edward Newgate, right? And I can go, you know what? That is the best leader, at least in OPO3. OPO2, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Zora's probably slightly better, but it's still pretty good, right? But Sanji's not. And I'm not saying Sanji's bad. Not by any stretch of the imagination. However, I absolutely am saying that Sanji is not, at least from the results I saw over in Japan in the OPO2 meta, it's not on the level of something like an Edward Newgate. It lets you, once during your turn, play a character with no base effect from your hand, which you can do anyway, obviously. But then, if you've got 3 or fewer characters, you set up to 2 of your Don as active. And maybe this becomes a player in the Western metagame in a way it never did over in Japan, but I'm not buying it at the moment, and that seems too high. Now, a leader that was very, very good in the OPO2 meta over in Japan was Emporio Ivankov. The best blue deck. That is what we see. And what we're seeing here is it kind of launched at 180. And I'll be honest with you, there's only actually been one sale. There has been exactly one sale of this card at $180. Which means we don't have a huge amount of value here. We don't have a huge amount we can look into. But it still sold for $180. And these values are too gosh darn high. Because we haven't even let the set come out yet. And buying these cards on the basis of a pre-release where supply is very low because we've only had the pre-release, that's just silly. Although, like I've said, there are plenty of exceptions. But here's a good one, right? Let's have a look at Edward Newgate. The character Edward Newgate. Now, that has ballooned up to about $170 card. The couple of sales we've got are 168 and 164, which gives a market price of 166. yeah, that's very, very high. And look, this is a very good card. The red decks that are going to be running around in OPO2 are going to be playing this. It's a really good, it's a big finishing card. And certainly it's good in OPO3 as well. On play, it gives your leader an extra 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. Then you can add life cards to your hand using your own effects. And Don X2, when attacking, you KO an opponent's character with 3,000 power or less. Take out a little blocker, for instance. Okay, fine. That kind of makes sense to me. That sounds fine. The thing is, can we honestly say this is better than Roanoa Zorro was in the OPO1 meta? Because I'm skeptical, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very skeptical. And if we have a look at Rush Zorro, this is the Rush Roanoa Zorro. Now, the good news is that it has come down from its peak, which is lovely, but it's a $120 card. Well, if Rush Zorro, which was phenomenal in OPO1, and is going to see a huge amount of play in OPO2, is a $120 card, and incidentally never got higher than 175, why are we paying 165 for Edward Newgate? Like the Rush Zorro, bearing in mind the height of this was when Romance Dawn was completely sold out everywhere. You could not find it anywhere. It was completely and utterly sold out. Everywhere. And it was a key card played, often as a 3 or 4 of in pretty much all the red decks. And with all of that borne in mind, we end up with a $175 card. Why are we paying $165 for this before the set's even out? I could give you a bunch more examples, but I don't think I really need to at this stage. I think I've kind of proven my point. If you look at Romance Dawn and the values they've got and the values they've had, and you compare that to what people are currently paying for Paramount War, it makes no sense. And I'm sure some of these cards will balloon. When the set sells out, and we know it's going to be reprinted, right? We know that. But we also kind of know it's going to sell out, because that's what One Piece does at the moment. So maybe we do see some spikes. But what we're going to see in the short term is we're going to see the release of Paramount War, a whole bunch of people flooding the market with singles, and then we might see the price start to tick up, and we probably will for some cards, but it's way too early. Do yourself a favour, right? Listen to your old pal Wassy. If you really want to buy these singles, just give it till at least the weekend. Wait till Paramount War actually releases. Wait till the prices start to come down, and then, ladies and gentlemen, then you can jump on it. Good. All right. That's where we are. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you think about these cards. Tell me which ones you're going to be picking up. Tell me if you've managed to get any Paramount War on release. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and chat with us about whatever you like, and generally just have an awful lot of fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.